I just got these in the mail, so I'm feeling pretty good. But I feel even better about answering y'all questions. Let's get into this Q&A.
DreAllDay.com.
What up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Welcome to Q&A number 42. I'm gonna get into how this is gonna work and into the questions in a moment. But as I just showed you, just got the new J's right here, and this is the CP3. I never actually played in a pair of CP3s. They kind of remind me of the Kobe's in the design, even though they're a little bit higher up the seams, a little bit thicker, and they appear to be a little bit bigger, but I guess that they're not. But anyway, I'll probably come with vids on these once I get a chance to actually. I'll probably play in the CP3s. I might play in these. I don't know about playing in the Jordans. I think I might just use these as off the court sneaks, even though I like the way they look. I might need to get a second pair to play in and a pair to chill in. I ain't gonna play in these yet, but CPs I am gonna play in, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Let's get into what we're here for. This is Q&A number 42. For those of you who don't know how this works, actually one more thing. Y'all see the shirt that I got on? Work on you fucking game shirt. You get the WOYG shirt for those of you who don't like to curse. That's alright with me. You can get the hat. Y'all see me with the hat. I ain't even gotta turn it around. All of this is available and more. Merchandise store, WOYG.net. WOYG for workonyourgame.net. All merchandise is there. Y'all know Hoop Handbook. I ain't gotta talk about that because I'm sure I'm gonna mention it in this video. Now let's get into what we're here for. The Q&A. Q&A video works very simply. I'm gonna go through the comments to last week's Q&A, which is Q&A number 41. I'm reading all these comments for the first time right here live on camera. I'm gonna respond to each question, to each relevant, useful question that's asked and comment that is made in the comments to this video. Any of you have a question or comment that you want me to address, you leave it in the comments to this video down here, and next week I'll respond to yours. And you'll see this video come up every Saturday on my channel. I record the video on Friday, so right now it is Friday 11:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm recording this right now. The video will come out on Saturday. You got questions or comments, make sure you leave it in the comments to the most recent Q&As. If you leave it in the old one, I'm never going to get to it, so make sure you get to the right one. And if you're not signed up with Google Plus or however the hell YouTube set it up right now, because sometimes people leave comments and their comments don't get replied to because I don't see it in the comments list. So if you don't see a comment in the comments list, you might see it because you said it. But make sure you got a Google Plus profile connected to your YouTube channel if you want me to see your question. Because if it's not connected and I don't see it, don't come to me asking why I didn't answer it or I ignored you. I'm not ignoring you, it just didn't fucking show up. So don't come to me bitching because I hate that shit. So now let's get right into the questions. First question is from Christian Frizzell. Says, do I have drills for D Rose? I guess he means drills that are reminiscent of Derrick Rose's game. I don't think he means actual drills for me to give to Derrick Rose. But yes, of course I do. You just search my name, or actually you're already on my channel. Click on my name, go to my channel. There's a search box. Just type in Derrick Rose. You see a bunch of drills that I put his name in, but there are a bunch of other stuff that don't have his name in it. First of all, you got to figure out what drills you're talking about, because you're not going to go from being whoever you are to Derrick Rose overnight, and you're not going to go there in a month. You're not going to go there because you did a bunch of drills. You're going to have to develop your game over years the same way Derrick Rose did, which means you got to get the basics first, then you can do the highlight reel stuff. I hear a lot of players asking me for drills for NBA players. Well, them NBA players did work for 10, 15 years before they got to the NBA. You want to skip over all that and go straight to the highlights. It don't work like that. You can also check hoophandbook.com for the Derrick Rose Signature Workout Program. It's a 30-day customized program based on Derrick Rose's game. Next question, Guy Lee says, I got a question about a triple threat move. Is it legal? Oh shit. Is it legal that you jab with your right foot, but your first step is your left foot? I see players do this. Isn't this a travel since you move your pivot foot before you dribble? You had to bounce the ball before you move your pivot foot right. Yes, Guy, you are correct. Yes, players will get away with it. That's because there are no computers that determine whether somebody travels. It's all by humans. Humans make errors. And travel is a judgment call by the referee. So if the referee notices it and calls it, it's a travel. And if he doesn't notice it and or doesn't call it, then it's not a travel. So yes, technically it's a travel, but you probably can get away with it if you do it quick enough, or just the ref don't see it or don't call it. Raymond Sexton, 1997, says, I'm 17 years old, 5 feet 5 inches tall, and I'm from England. Despite being a point guard, I'm not really athletic, but I can shoot. When I play with friends, I'm good, but when I get into games, my confidence drops and I don't make an impact despite my coach giving me playing time. How can I start making an impact? You can start making an impact by performing in the games. That's the short answer. The long answer is go to my website, DreAllDay.com. There's a link called Guides, Tips, and Help. There is a page that I wrote, a couple pages that I wrote about players who have the issue of performing well in practice or playing with your friends or in a game that doesn't matter, but then you don't perform well in the games that do matter, or when the coach is watching, or when you're playing against players you don't know. So a lot of players have this problem. I wrote a couple posts on my website under the Guides and Tips page addressing that very issue. I think I'm gonna write an entire book about that. So that's gonna come in the future. So go to my website, Guides and Tips page, you'll see the answer to that in Raymond. Raymond Sexton says, do you ever have those moments where you do something dumb, like dribble the ball off your foot or lose it going for layups, etc.? I mean, if you play and practice enough, eventually you'll probably do any of those things plenty of times. When I'm practicing, yeah, I lose the ball, I dribble the ball off my foot sometimes when I'm practicing, things like that. In the games, it doesn't happen as much, because in the games, I'm usually going straight to muscle memory, things I perfected through practicing. So the reason you practice is to get the kinks out. Kenneth Illadop says, Dre, I will try out next month. What are the things the coach wants so they will choose me? Kenneth, I made a video about that about 3 weeks ago. Just search Dre Baldwin and the word tryouts. You'll see that video. Cole Boucher says, tryouts are next week. I'm a defensive player. I don't want the coach to put me on the B team. Can any way you can tell me to show him how I'm a lockdown defender? Yeah, Cole, get on the court and prove it. Stop talking about it. You saying it doesn't mean anything. You got to go do it. James Strofolino says, you ever played with Chris Smooth since you both live in Miami? I don't even know who Chris Smooth is, so the answer to that would be no, unless I played with him and didn't know who he was. Obito Swagarama says, how do you control speed in the game? I'm quick, I have incredible stamina, but people keep saying I'm going too fast. I don't turn the ball over, but how to control speed? Well, first of all, Obito, you're basing your question on what somebody else said. Is that what you say, or is that just what somebody else said? Because you need to think for yourself, first of all, and decide whether you need to make a change, and not base your changes on what other people say. Use your brain, think for yourself, and then come back to me once you've done that if you still think you need to make a change, because it doesn't sound like you do. Killer Josh says, I'm 13 years old, I'm a freshman, I didn't try out for my team. I wanted to work on my game more. The coach told me I'm an all-around player, but I need to polish my skills. What do I work on first? Well, Kill, you need to decide that. You're the one out there playing. If you don't know what you need to work on, then you have a problem, because you out there playing every single time. 100% of the time you played basketball, you were there. I was never there. I was there 0% of the time, you were there 100% of the time. So if you have no idea what you need to work on, then you have a problem. So you need to figure that out and come back to me. Eshwar Tangirala says, can I tell him where the 150-page shooting book is on my site? And I love how you're so straight up with these answers. Eshwar, the book is at DreAllDay.com/PSSS. That stands for Pro Shot Shooting System. P as in pro, SSS. DreAllDay.com/PSSS. That's completely free for anybody who wants any information on shooting. Get it from that book, and you got to read the whole book. So that's the work you got to do to get the information. I know a lot of you rather watch a video, but guess what? That's why they say if you want to hide something, put it in the book, because people don't read. So if you want the knowledge, read the book, and it's free. JJ Robidoux says, well, I make a Terry Porter hoop handbook. Don't count on that one. David DeLucci says, I have a couple questions. I'm trying to improve my handles in the game, but I don't do any crossovers or anything. I just drive because I get nervous or something, but I want to improve my handles. But you have so many vids. Can you tell me which ones to look at and any tips for making my A team in school? First of all, for making a team in school, watch the video on tryouts that I've referenced previously. Any tips for improving your actual doing moves in a game? I think you need to take a look at hoophandbook.com. We got a ball handling hoop handbook. Crossover hoop handbook, I think, be the best one for you, David. Also, crossover scoring moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I got 7 crossover scoring moves programs. You can start with just one of them. You can get all of them. You get the package. And also the signature workouts based on the skills of certain NBA players. So you pick the player you like, the player whose game you want to most try to emulate, and you can use that program. Tough Tanny says, Tough Tanny wrote a whole paragraph. I'm not reading this. He says, I'm in a situation where people are forcing me to join a team because it's popular. And he says, when I play in a game, people laugh at me for the decision I made. Regardless, everything's going to happen. I do what I do because it's me. Do I agree? Tough Tanny, I'm not going to decide your life for you. You have to decide what team you want to play for. If you feel like you don't want to be on the team, you don't like people laughing at you, or not about people laughing at you. If you don't want to be on the team, don't be on the team. And if you do, you do. But please, people giving me these long paragraphs and asking me to think for you. I don't think for people. You got to think for yourself. That's what I try to do in these videos and in my writing and all the stuff that I put out, is try to empower you all to empower yourselves. Think for yourself, make decisions for yourself. Don't expect me to make a decision for you, because I'm absolutely not doing it. So Tanny, you got to decide for yourself. Whatever your situation is, you got a brain. You obviously are smart. You can read and write. Think about it, figure it out, make a decision, and live with it. Next question. Michael S. says, I bought Ultimate Athlete and Position of Power on iTunes, but I no longer have an Apple device to view it on. I tried contacting you through the website, but didn't get a response for some time now. Michael, if you contacted me through my website, you would definitely get a response. So that means your email probably didn't go through, or you put in the wrong email address when I put the reply thing in there. So I wrote back and it gave me an error. So you can write me again and we'll see what we can do. If you say you bought it but you don't have it anymore, you can actually send me the receipt when you email me. Just email me directly at dre@dreallday.com with the receipt from your purchase, and we'll do what we got to do to make sure you get what you paid for. Ahmed Masood says, you say you played against NBA players, so how did you play against them? How did you hold your own, or did they destroy you? Ahmed, I talked about that. I did say that, and I also talked about in detail what happened in those games, so you got to go back and find that video. If I knew at the top of my head which video it was, I'd tell you, but I don't, so I can't. Remy Ellis says, have you ever tried the shot lock? And if so, would you recommend it to others to improve their shooting? Thank you for investing time to help others. Well, Remy, you're welcome, first of all. Second of all, I don't know what the shot lock is. No, I have not tried it. Worm Chemistry says, how do you come up with topics, themes for your weekly motivation? You sit down and think about it, or does it just come to you through experiences? And Worm is actually a combination of both. Sometimes I sit and think of it, but when I sit and think of it, I usually end up forcing ideas, which I don't want to do. My ideas for weekly motivations usually just come from daily life. Thinking about stuff, I may come up with a principle that I say that'd be good for a video or a blog post or even a book, or even listening to other people. I listen to and read a lot of personal development material. So I don't watch any TV at all, but I listen to personal development audios. We're talking like a Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, a John C. Maxwell, Tony Robbins, people like that. I listen to a lot of that stuff, and I read a lot of that stuff in books and things like that. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Dale Carnegie, things like that. So when I'm listening to them, I hear them talk about principles that I think would be great for me, something for me to write about or speak about, and that's where I get a lot of my ideas from. No idea just comes out of nowhere into my mind. It all comes from something that was built before me. So I'm just doing my best to translate it into my language, put it in my own words, and then share it with y'all in a way that everybody can digest and understand, whether you play basketball or even if you don't. Next question. Joel Ariola says, would you come to the NBA All-Star Game in New York next year? I don't know yet, Joel. We'll see. Maybe I'll be there, maybe I won't. If I am there, you'll know about it. If I'm not, I probably won't say nothing. Next question. Dominic MJ23 says, I'm a point guard who creates the shot and shoots a lot, but I want to find my teammates for the open pass. Which hoop handbook would I recommend? Well, Dominic, you can't do a program by yourself to learn how to pass to other teammates. That doesn't make any sense. The hoop handbook is about developing skills for your game. You want to develop your ability to pass, you need to go play in basketball games with other players so you can develop your instincts for passing the ball. It's not about using a program. T. Tumas says, how do you deal with a really uneducated and dumb coach? He doesn't know enough about basketball. His ideas are really hurting the team in all aspects. Is there anything I can do about a player? Yes, this is what you can do, T. Get off the team and go play for somebody else. If you think the coach is dumb and he's uneducated and you listed all these terrible things he's doing, why are you still there? If he's so terrible, you wouldn't be on the team anymore. So quit the team, go play for somebody else. And if you're not going to quit the team, shut the hell up and do your job. Damn, I'm tough says, I missed tryouts this year due to not being a full-time student in college. He wasn't full-time, so he couldn't try out. How should I make this year-round training regimen so that I'm primed to dominate tryouts next year? Well, work on your fucking game. I mean, you got to ask me a better question than how can I make this year. What does he say? How can I make this year-round training regimen? How should he make a year-round training regimen? Well, damn, I'm tough. You asking a person who's posted 4,000 workout videos on YouTube how you can make it all year-round training regimen. And I've already mentioned 10 times hoophandbook.com, which has all the workout programs anyone would need for basketball, both on the court and off the court. So you got to come up with a better question than that one. Anthony Turner says, why wasn't mine answered? I already addressed this, Anthony. Popcorn and Rice says, I watched a video on why the gym is always empty. Speech was motivating. My question is, at what age did you learn the idea of persistence? And when did you start following what you learned in terms of persistence? There was no age. There was no day where I just woke up and there was a message from God telling me to be persistent. This is just something that I developed. I learned it from people who I watched growing up, which would be my parents, my mother and father. I learned it really from watching them. They never told me, but I just watched it because that was the only example that they set. So when I went out to start working on things such as my basketball game, I only did the thing that I knew, which is to show up every day, keep working, and I had an idea, some insight that came from me. My subconscious mind was told me if I just keep showing up to the park at the times when everybody else is not showing up, I'll probably develop things that they're not developing. So that's just where it came from. John Jones says, what is the hedge man and a pick and roll? It would be best for me to show you that, to actually show you or look at a video or something, but since we're explaining it, a hedge man and pick and roll is the person who is defending the person who set the pick. So for example, if we got the Cleveland Cavaliers playing against the Chicago Bulls, right? And LeBron has the ball, and Kevin Love is setting the screen for LeBron. LeBron's dribbling, Kevin Love sets the screen. And we have Jimmy Butler guarding LeBron, and Joakim Noah is guarding Kevin Love, or Pau Gasol. Let's just say Joakim Noah is guarding Kevin Love. LeBron uses the screen that Kevin Love has set. Jimmy Butler gets screened by Kevin Love, whether he gets around it, over it, under it, whatever. The hedge man is Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah's job, usually, not usually, I won't say that, depending on the scheme that each team runs, different teams do it different ways to defend the pick and roll. Hedging basically means the person who's guarding the screener, you step out in front of the ball handler to kind of slow him down so that your teammate, Jimmy Butler in this case, can get back into defensive position guarding LeBron because he has to get around the screen set by Kevin Love. So the hedge man, to put it simply, is the person who is defending the screen setter. Next question. Jason281 says, what's the difference between when playing with the shot clock? What is the biggest difference when playing with a shot clock? Biggest difference between what? You didn't compare them to two things. You just named one thing. Breezy C4L says, how many D3 players make it overseas or professional from my point of view? Well, it's not really about a point of view, Breezy. That's a question of fact. That's a black and white question. I don't know the exact number. I just know it ain't a lot of them. And I'm guessing you're asking that because you are a D3 player, I'm guessing. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But how many other people have done it should not be a good barometer for whether you think you can make it. You just got to focus on what you do, not what everybody else did. If I focus whether I can make it pro based on what the average D3 player does, then you wouldn't be watching this video right now. The Plord says, Dre, I have a question. Really? He says, how do you gain respect from other players? I notice guys that aren't that good in the gym take 20 shots. They don't make a lot. In my case, I make a regular shot, meaning I won't get the ball back unless I dunk or cross someone. I don't get the rationale. Well, the Plord, first of all, I can't explain the rationale of any other person, and I think you are making a wide sweeping generalization of all basketball players based on your very minute experience against the very few number of players you played against relative to the number of players all across the entire world. So how do you get respect from other players? I can't answer that. You got to prove your game. You got to continue to prove your game and keep proving your game over and over and over again. If the players you're playing with are not good as the way you describe them, go find some better players to play with. That's something that you 100% control. You have no control over what another person does. You only control yourself, your actions, your thoughts, and your attitude and your effort. Next question. Richard III says, when I go into a game, should I focus on my average because I need certain stats to be all-state, or should I just play for the win and use that as fuel? Well, Richard, of course you know you shouldn't focus on your stats. You already know the answer to that question, so come to me with a better question than should I focus on my stats or play to win. Object of the game is to win. If you're a good player, you're able to win, do things to help your team, and you'll get stats all in the process. So if you got to separate those things, then you're probably not as good as you think you are. Remy Wrong says, how do you perform well in a game? Well, you work on your fucking game, and then when it's time for a game, you show what you've been working on. Ray Meza says, I'm thinking about writing a book. Any advice on how to get started? Yeah, stop thinking about it and start writing. Bobby Bob says, I'm a guard who wants to be able to score but also have handles. Which hoop handbook would seem to fit that? I'm thinking Kyrie, but I want to ask you first, so what do you think? Well, all the guards whose hoop handbook program have been made at the point guard position, all of them can score. Well, you said a guard. You didn't say point guard. They all can score. Kobe can score, Damian Lillard, Tony Parker, Chris Paul, Stephen Curry, Allen Iverson, Gary Payton, Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury, Steve Nash, Jeremy Lin. All of them can score, and there are programs for all of those guys, and that's just the point guards. Kobe Bryant, Jamal Crawford, Tracy McGrady. I can't even think of everybody else, but there are 53 different NBA player signature workout programs. You can get any one of them. Basically, Bobby, Look at your game and look at the type of game you want to develop and get a player whose game is similar to where you want to go. All of them can score. So I say get the entire package. Get the full roster package. You get all 53 player programs for like 60% of, 60% off whatever that number is. Next, Curdy Cora Singh says, Dre, what separates a good defensive point guard? He gives examples of Derrick Rose, Rondo, and Chris Paul from a bad defensive point guard such as Irving or Jeremy Lin. They're all quick, big, and fast, but what does that Rose do that makes them better perimeter defenders than Irving, etc.? Well, first of all, that's a question of perception, Curdy, and that's all subjective. I could just disagree with you and say Irving and Lin are good defenders. Nobody can tell me that I'm wrong because it's my opinion. It's based on opinion. It's all subjective. There's no objective stat that says this is what makes you good, this is what makes you bad. Anybody can take any stat and say I disagree. So it's not really about what makes it good versus bad. It's really just what people's opinions are. They're all big, quick, and fast is what he says. Okay, if that's your opinion, that's fine. What makes a good defensive point guard from a bad one? Well, one thing that can help a player look better is when he has other teammates around him who are good. For example, Derrick Rose has Joakim Noah, who's one of the best defensive players in the league behind him. So if Derrick Rose gets beat, there's a good chance that the guy who beat him might not score anyway because Joakim Noah is back there. Whereas if you have a defender behind you, a big man behind you who's not that good at protecting the rim, or your other teammates are not that good positionally being in the right space, then you might get beat off the dribble and get scored on. And mind you, everybody gets beat off the bounce. Rose, Rondo, Chris Paul, everybody gets beat defensively in the NBA. It's just a matter of the other 4 guys on your team cleaning up for you being in the right position to stop that guy even though you got beat. Nobody in the NBA really shuts down their man one-on-one. Everybody gets beat. This is a matter of team defensive scheme. So it's not all about one-on-one. Next question. Kayvon Noruzikia says, Dre, how do you deal with family pressure, money, and doubts? When you had your college degree, you decided you wanted to play pro ball, do you have moments where you felt pursuing basketball was something wrong because your parents didn't approve and at that time you had no plan? Okay, man, if you have no plan for what you're going to do with your life, you're probably going to feel doubtful and pressured and having problems and a negative mindset in anything. It doesn't matter if you play basketball or anything else. If you want to do something, you need to first of all figure out why you want to do it so that you have some fuel, so that you have some energy, some motivation to work towards it. And once you figure out why you want to do it, figure out what you have to do, and then plan between where you are and where you want to get to. So from that point A to point B, you need to come up with a plan. Make sure your plan has branches. So if it doesn't go exactly, nobody's plan ever goes in a straight line perfectly from where they are to where they want to get. Have branches in your plan. So if something goes wrong with this part of it, you can go this way, this way, this way, and still get back to your plan and still get to that end result. As far as this question is, that I had moments where I felt pursuing basketball was something wrong because my parents didn't approve. Well, my parents didn't exactly understand what I was doing with basketball, but it wasn't really about them approving. I knew what I was going to do. By the time I got out of college, I was an adult. Even though I didn't have any money or I didn't even have my own place, I was an adult. Nobody was going to tell me what I had to do with my life. I knew that I was going to get to where I wanted to go, even if I had to take a detour and do things that people said, well, if you got a degree, why are you doing this, this, and this? Because I knew where I wanted to go. It had nothing to do with having a degree or getting a 9-to-5 or the normal, quote-unquote, real jobs that other people do. So first of all, Kayvon, to recap, figure out why you want to get where you want to go, then plan out how you're going to get from where you are to where you're going. Those are the things that you need to do first. Anyone on here, including him, that has questions about pro basketball and how they need to get from point A to point B, go to the guides and tips page on my site. Under the header that says pro basketball, I got like 15 different pages of information, from money to how it works to agents to camps to the overall general idea of playing pro basketball. I've covered everything in detail, so go to my site and read that. Next question, Mike D says, I'm a point guard, I need help being more aggressive. Is there some drill I can do for that? Well, Mike, there's no drill for being aggressive. Being aggressive is a mindset. It's not about doing a drill. It's about changing the way that you think and feel about yourself. And I have a video about that. If you just search my name and the word aggressive, you'll see the video I made about that. And the main thing, Mike, is you just need to get on the court, and you can make it a conscious thing. Think about the fact that you need to play more aggressively. And the more you do it consciously, the more you'll start to do it unconsciously. Philip Asiama says, what team did I play for in London? I didn't play for a team in London, but I played some ball in London. I wouldn't say I was on officially signed to a team. It was just some other business that I was doing. Next question. Elliot Whitefield says, Dre, I'm a freshman from Chicago. Open gym started at my school. After a few, I moved up to the older kids, and the sophomores came to play, and more freshmen came. And I was moved down, but I think I should be playing up. What do I think it is, and how should I respond? How should you respond is to perform at your highest level. Whatever your game is, go out and show your game. What do I think of that? I don't think anything of it. Elliot, you tell me what you think of it. You say you should be playing up. Go talk to the person who moved you down and tell them what you told me. A lot of players come here in the comments and they tell me all these things that they tell me all these bold statements that they have, which is really directed at your coaches. But I know for a fact that 100% of you never said any of this stuff to your coach, because if you did, you wouldn't need to say it to me. So take what you said to me and go say it to the coach, and then tell me what happened. Swole Cam says, what did I major in college that helped me with what I'm doing right now? I majored in business with a focus in management and marketing. So when I tell people that, they're like, oh, so you took what you learned in college and used it in your real life. And I could say, yeah, but not really, because it ain't shit that they taught me that really helped me to do anything I'm doing now. I appreciate the experience of college, the social experience, and the fact that I was able to grow and develop as a person and as a player. But there's nothing that any of those professors taught me that I'm doing now, because you can just look simply at the fact that back in the early 2000s when I was in college, YouTube didn't even exist. Not many people had websites, their own blogs, personal brands, and things like that. So what the hell is any of those people who work as teachers, as professors in college, what are they going to teach me about YouTube? YouTube didn't even exist. So it's nothing they could teach me. What are they going to teach me about having a personal brand or website? Nothing, because they didn't know anything about that. For a profession, they taught college students for a living. So how are they going to teach somebody to do something other than be a teacher of college students? You can only teach things that you've lived. So those professors couldn't teach me a damn thing because I wasn't trying to be a professor. That's just my 2 cents on it. But that's a whole other discussion for a whole other day. Next question. Road Basketball Science says, I'm a guard. Sometimes in one-on-one, I always end up with the center. When I'm facing him, I'm not strong, so he backs me down. What can I do? Or, Road, you can get stronger. Position and Power program at hoophandbook.com. FFFF says, Dre, I have been working hard and getting better, but I'm still not on the team. And the person who plays instead of me doesn't go to any of the training. He doesn't play, but the coach said she picked the team since the start of the year. I get annoyed when he's picked ahead of me. Have you ever been in a similar situation? How would you deal with it to stay on my grind? Thanks. Well, first of all, you can go talk to the coach, just like I said a couple minutes ago. If you got a problem with the coach's choice, go tell the coach you got a problem with the choice. And you tell me how that conversation went when you have that conversation, if you ever have it. What you can do when you have a problem with your coach, for anyone else who has this issue, you got 3 options when you got a problem with your coach. Option A, quit the team, go play for somebody else. If you really think the coach is an idiot and they made the wrong choice and the guy ahead of you is not better than you, go quit and go play for somebody else and prove it. Option 2, go talk to the coach, tell them that you have an issue, do it respectfully, and see what the coach says about what you can do to get more playing time. Option 3, shut the fuck up and keep working. Next question, last question. NBA General says, Dre, I was wondering why you left Joe Johnson off your top 5 shooting guards list, and he starts telling me all these attributes of Joe Johnson. Do you think he could have continued success this season? Well, to answer the last question, yeah, of course he can have continued success. Why is he not on my list? Because he didn't make the list. I had the list top 5 people, in my opinion, and he didn't make it. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for the questions this week. Questions have continued to be good. Please keep coming to me with good quality questions. As long as y'all keep with the quality, because I was actually thinking about ending the Q&A, but as long as y'all keep coming with quality questions, I'm going to keep doing it. Thank you, everybody, for coming through. WOYG.net for all your gear needs. That's it. That's all. Leave your comments and questions in the comments to this one. 1 question per person. Please don't respond to a question somebody else asked. That's it. I'm done talking. Work on your fucking game. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.